We've just got some breaking news in from Buckingham Palace, folks. So this statement has just come in from Buckingham Palace and I'll read it for you. It goes on to say, His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles and honours.
Just minutes ago, Prince William and Catherine reportedly took a step that many believed would never happen. According to the story, they confirmed a decision that would place a clear limit on Queen Camilla's future royal status. It was not described as a warning or an informal discussion, but as a formal decision contained within an official succession document. The claim suggests that the decision carried an authorization already recorded within palace planning, making it far more significant than an ordinary family disagreement. For years, Camilla was said to have believed that as long as King Charles remained on the throne, the position she had spent decades reaching would remain protected. William may have disagreed with aspects of the monarchy's direction, Catherine may have kept a careful distance from certain issues, and advisors may have raised constitutional concerns, but Charles's support appeared to be the strongest guarantee that her standing would never be challenged. According to this account, that confidence was tested during a private meeting held behind the closed doors of Buckingham Palace, away from cameras, public statements, and the carefully crafted language usually associated with royal affairs. William reportedly arrived first, followed shortly afterward by Catherine, while Charles and Camilla were already waiting inside the room. At the center of the table lay a sealed succession file containing documents that, according to those familiar with the meeting, had already progressed beyond the stage of discussion. When a senior advisor opened the file, the first section was read aloud. It stated that Camilla would continue serving as queen for the remainder of Charles's reign. However, once that reign came to an end, the authority attached to her position would not automatically continue into the next reign. The document reportedly explained that the titles constitutional influence, ceremonial precedence, household authority, and institutional role would conclude with the end of Charles's time as monarch. Under the proposed framework, there would be no separate center of influence existing alongside the future reign of William. Instead, the monarchy would move forward under a single sovereign with one clearly defined structure of authority. The atmosphere in the room reportedly changed when William spoke. He did not raise his voice or make personal accusations. Instead, he emphasized that the monarchy's future depended upon clarity, stability, and a clear constitutional chain of authority. According to the account, he argued that the next reign could not begin while questions remained about overlapping influence or competing sources of royal power. The institution, he said, required one sovereign, one household, and one unmistakable line of leadership. Catherine remained silent throughout much of the discussion, yet her presence carried considerable significance. While William was expected to defend the future of his own reign, Catherine's quiet support reportedly demonstrated that the position reflected a shared vision rather than a personal dispute. Her silence was interpreted not as hesitation, but as confirmation that the decision had been reached together. Attention then shifted to another section of the file, which allegedly listed several requests connected to Camilla's future household arrangements. These included proposals concerning continued staffing, influence over senior appointments, ongoing access to royal residences, security arrangements extending beyond Charles's reign, and special considerations involving members of her family. Each request appeared relatively modest when viewed independently, yet together they painted a picture of a household designed to retain influence even after the transition to a new monarch. According to the narrative, William questioned whether these combined requests risked creating an alternative source of authority that could complicate the beginning of the next reign. Charles reportedly viewed the matter differently. He argued that continuity should not automatically be interpreted as entitlement. In his view, preserving experienced staff and maintaining certain practical arrangements could simply reflect respect for years of loyal service, rather than an attempt to establish competing authority. Camilla herself was said to have defended the proposals by explaining that her family had endured decades of public scrutiny, criticism, and media attention because of her position within the royal family. She maintained that any additional protections discussed in the documents were intended to shield those close to her from unnecessary hardship rather than secure lasting privilege. It was at this point, according to the account, that Catherine finally spoke. Her remarks were calm but direct. She reportedly observed that every royal title exists to serve the institution rather than the individual who holds it. In her view, constitutional roles could not become permanent personal possessions, nor could they provide automatic advantages for relatives who held no official public responsibilities. Her question was simple yet significant. If certain privileges continued after the role itself had ended, what public service would those privileges actually represent? The room reportedly fell quiet. No immediate answer followed. That silence, the story suggests, exposed the central constitutional concerns surrounding the proposals. Royal privileges could readily be defended when they supported active duty, but they became much more difficult to justify when linked primarily to personal relationships or family connections. According to the narrative, William had already reviewed months of succession planning before the meeting took place. Palace officials had reportedly examined how royal households would operate after Charles's reign, initially treating the exercise as a routine administrative review covering staffing, residences, ceremonial responsibilities, and security. However, concerns allegedly emerged when repeated requests appeared, seeking to preserve elements of Camilla's household well into the next reign. Individually, these proposals appeared administrative in nature. Collectively, they suggested an institutional structure capable of maintaining influence beyond the constitutional lifespan of the current monarchy. William reportedly believed that allowing such arrangements to continue unchecked could create confusion regarding authority and undermine the simplicity that future succession planning required. Camilla denied any intention of creating a rival household. She reportedly argued that she was being portrayed unfairly and that ordinary planning had been transformed into evidence of political ambition. According to her account, the future monarchy could show appropriate respect to the present queen without weakening the authority of the next king. William, however, reportedly pointed toward language appearing repeatedly throughout the documents that referred to continuation beyond the present sovereign. He argued that this wording suggested more than a temporary transition. Instead, it implied an expectation that elements of Camilla's household would remain active even after Charles's reign had concluded. When questioned about the language, Camilla reportedly explained that much of the documentation had been prepared by officials rather than personally drafted by her. She suggested that not every administrative phrase reached her attention before being included in official papers. Yet that explanation reportedly created another difficulty. If she had not personally approved the requests, then members of her household may have acted independently. If she had approved them, then she entered the meeting fully aware of what William had discovered. Either interpretation raised further questions that advisors considered impossible to ignore. The discussion reportedly became even more serious when advisors produced records indicating that Camilla's office had previously been warned that no royal title, household, or constitutional privilege could automatically continue after the reign of the monarch to whom it belonged. According to the documents, those warnings had been issued more than once. Nevertheless, revised requests allegedly continued arriving after each warning had been delivered. By that stage, advisors reportedly concluded that the matter could